And we are back. All right, today we're going to talk about the different types of bonds that are found in both molecules and in what we call ionic compounds. So the first type, called covalent bonds, are those that result from sharing electrons. Okay. And later in the year we'll talk about how different atoms share those electrons. It has to be the electrons on the outside of an atom. And in any structure that contains covalent bonds, we call that collection of atoms a molecule. And that molecule acts as a unit. And these molecules, these covalent bonds, usually form between nonmetals. So they usually form between nonmetals. And remember, nonmetals are found on the right side of your periodic table. So some examples of molecules that we know, molecules or bonds between two atoms that are covalently bonded together, or between nonmetals, are things like hydrogen gas or oxygen gas. So remember, these are diatomic molecules, the same atom bonded to itself, and they are both nonmetals. And same thing with water. Hydrogen and oxygen are both nonmetals, in addition to carbon dioxide, carbon and oxygen, both nonmetals. And the one we're going to talk about right now, which is CH4, or methane gas. And there's a couple different ways in which we can represent this molecule. The first one is the structural formula, and you'll notice here these are dotted lines. That means if you're looking at this two-dimensionally, but each molecule is actually 3D, those dotted lines mean those are going behind the plane, they're going into the screen that you're looking at, whereas the bold line is literally going out towards you. So that's in front of the plane. Then, this next one, we have the space-filling model, which shows the relative size and orientation of the molecule. And then finally, what we'll cover later in the year, we'll use different ball and sticks models for different covalent compounds. Okay, so that's covalent bonds. Those are found from sharing electrons. Ionic, the different type, ionic bonds, are those, well, they're not sharing, but they're due to the force of attraction between oppositely charged ions. So that means positive and negatively charged ions. So that means instead of electrons being shared, here, each group of atoms has a net positive or negative charge. That means atoms are either gaining or losing electrons. Okay, so atoms are only gaining or losing electrons. They're never gaining or losing any protons. And in general, ionic bonds are the transfer of electrons, covalent bonds, sharing electrons, and those are between two nonmetals. Ionic bonds are usually between a metal and a nonmetal. So that's a giveaway if you want to identify an ionic compound. Okay. And there's two different types of ions. Okay. The first one is a cation, which is a positively charged ion. And a cation, since it's positively charged, has lost an electron. It has lost negative charge. And a good way to remember that a cation is positively charged, if you look at the third letter, T, it looks like a plus sign. And then the next one, anion, the second letter is N, which means it's a negatively charged ion. And since it's negatively charged, that means it has gained an electron. Okay.